The daughter, the young woman, had a fairy tale life, which means, of course, that her mother died. And when her father remarried, the woman he had married had a lazy daughter from her first marriage, and the new stepmother hated her stepdaughter and forced her to spin thread with a distaff and a spindle until her fingers bled, a situation that had somehow gotten worse when the first daughter's father died, leaving her alone with her stepmother and stepsister. Yes, a fairy tale life. Now, she sat by the well, as she always did, spinning until her hands bled, as she always did. It was actual physical torture, but it was better than being home with her stepmother and stepsister. She looked at the sun and the sky and gasped. It was late. She needed to go home and make them dinner. She jumped up, and from her bloody hands, the spindle slipped, flew, and landed in the well. With a plop, the daughter watched it disappear into the darkened water. She strained after it, but it was already gone. She had lost it. So, go after it, the mother said to the daughter that night, without looking up from the meal the girl had made. The daughter said that she couldn't swim and the well was deep. The stepmother met her daughter's eyes. So? The daughter said that she would die? The stepmother turned to her stepdaughter. Wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh. The girl was right. What were they saying? They loved her. Can't even do it. Can't keep a straight face, the woman said to her daughter. I see you cracking up and I can't help it. She turned back to her stepdaughter. No, dear, we don't care if you live or die. The spindle is worth more to us than you are, so go get it, or I'll throw you down the well myself, the stepmother said, and resumed her dinner. The other daughter rushed off, weeping out the door, back to the well. Her tears rippled on the surface of the water. It would never get better. The happy times in her life were so distant. She was trapped now. She stood on the edge of the stone well, looking down into the darkness. Somewhere down there, the spindle sat. Soon, she would as well. She took a step and braced herself for the plunge. It was dark and cold, and she kept falling in the black, kept dropping toward the bottom. She lost which way was up. Soon, she stopped trying altogether. She opened her mouth, and the water rushed in. She lost consciousness. She coughed and rose to her hands, but where was she? It was a beautiful meadow. The well, the road, her home, they were all gone. It was just flowers and sunshine here. Wherever she was, it was infinitely better than her home. So she walked. If she was dead, then it obviously wasn't all bad. And if she wasn't, even better. She walked in this earthly paradise until she heard screaming. It came from the cottage just up ahead, through the trees, and she rushed and banged on the door, but no one answered. Inside she heard, help me, I'm gonna burn in here. She tried the door, and yeah, it was open. She rushed into the small bakery, to the oven, and threw it open, and didn't see a witch inside. That was my first thought. She did, however, see a few loaves of bread, screaming, get us out! When she did, the bread breathed, without lungs. Thank you, they said. We were about to burn in there. And you don't want that? She asked, still confused by talking bread. The bread grimaced at her. No, do you? The girl said no, but also people didn't eat her. The bread laughed. Well, people didn't eat them either. They were just born in that oven. And they were excited about all the adventures they were going to get to go on in this wonderful journey called life. The girl smiled. Yeah, she should be going. Not because she didn't want to be around when the loaves realized the terrifying reality of their existence. Just, she had to go. The loaves tried to wave by, but they didn't have any arms. Huh. How are they supposed to travel without muscles? Weird. They'd ask their creator when the person returned. The daughter continued on through the forest and away from that awkward conversation when she heard more screaming. This wasn't as panicked as the self-timed bread oven, but more so to get the girl's attention. Shake me, she heard. Shake me, please. She emerged to find an apple tree standing there, full of big, ripe apples. Yeah, hi, my apples are super ripe and ready to fall, and I just need someone to shake me. You have human hands and arms. Mind helping me out? The girl said, sure, okay, and after a good bit of shaking, with every apple on the ground, the tree thanked the young woman. They were good now. She could leave. The girl said that was weird. Not as weird as you not leaving, the tree said. And the girl shrugged. Whatever. And that really was the end to that weirdly short episode. The forest was a strange place, but she traveled onward until she saw a cottage. Now, the young woman knew the stories and knew the first 2 rules of the Myths and Legends podcast. She even ordered a t-shirt with a list of rules, which, now that I'm thinking about it, that must have been the t-shirt that we shipped to medieval Europe. She knew you didn't go into the dark forest alone. And if you do, you don't go into the house there. But the house didn't look all that creepy. It was a quaint little cottage. Then the curtains flew back, and in the window was a crone with long, sinister teeth. The young woman gasped and took off on a run. She should have listened to her t-shirt. She ran from the clearing, rushing back into the forest, and the crone was suddenly in front of her. She turned around, and the crone was there. The young woman staggered backwards and fell, and the crone was on her, but not eating her or hog-tying her for a meal later. The woman was looking at the girl's fingers. Calloused and bloody, the old woman searched the younger. It couldn't have been that. Then she saw that the girl was still wet, and the old woman sighed. Oh dear, no. She told the young woman to get up. The old woman said she wouldn't hurt her. The old woman took the younger's hand and rubbed the wounds. When she pulled her crooked fingers away from the young woman's hand, the girl was healed. She helped the girl to her feet. She said that she was Frau Halle. You don't need to be afraid. I know how this looks. I know the stories. I was here before the stories, before the empires and cities, before the tribes of people roamed north, Frau Halle said, staring off into the distance. Then she shook her head. But I won't hurt you. You're safe here. Despite the old woman being a stranger in the forest with long teeth, telling her that she was older than civilization, the young woman believed her. Maybe not the older than civilization part, but the part about her being safe. The young woman smiled. And she was safe. She had to work in the old woman's house. She had to work in her own house, after all. But Frau Halle was fair and kind. And the work wasn't easy, but it wasn't cruel. There was a strange bit, though, where Frau Halle showed her her bed, and how to shake the feather bed so vigorously nightly that the people in the world would have snow. The daughter didn't know what this was about, but she did it to Frau Halle's satisfaction every night. The young woman didn't know how long she spent with Frau Halle. It could have been a week, a year, a lifetime. She lost track of the days, where Frau Halle would watch over her like the mother she had lost too soon, as the pair explored the forest, prepared meals, and talked. And the nights were a warm blur, where the snow came down outside, and the fire crackled as the girl took the bed, and Frau Halle slumbered in the chair. One day, though, the daughter felt a pang in her heart. She didn't know where it came from, or why it was happening, but soon after, the memories began to find their way back in. Memories of home, of her life. That day at the well, that day she had run away. She could leave them, but they didn't deserve her life, too. She had been lucky to have been brought here. But she felt like she had a life to get back to. She wanted to go home. Frau Halle smiled. That was wonderful news. The girl realized she was crying. She wiped her face. It was? Frau Halle helped the girl to her feet and hugged her. It was. Let's go, dear. As they walked, they entered a part of the forest that the girl thought she knew from her days, months, years there, but they came to something new, a gate. It was large and beautiful, and without a word or a movement, it opened before them. The girl turned to Frau Halle. Would she ever see the woman again? Frau Halle shook her head. Not unless she made a habit of diving into wells. The girl embraced Frau Halle. She said goodbye, turned, and walked through the gate. On the other side, the rain came down, a sprinkle at first. It soon grew into a downpour, a torrent. The girl looked at her skin. The rain, it was gold, like actual gold, and it was sticking to her. She might have been afraid, but she knew that Frau Halle was in control. The rain grew and accumulated on her until she couldn't see. For a brief moment, she was floating in the beautiful, blissful darkness. Get her up, pull. Almost there, the girl heard. She was jerked from the water. The men, strangers, were pulling her from the well, holding her feet up so she didn't scrape the stones. They laid her down. She tried to ask them where she was. Where was Frau Halle? But she couldn't speak. Not until she coughed up all the well water from her lungs. She sat up, gasping at the air. The men said that they turned the corner on the road and saw her jump into the well. Why would she do that? She didn't just jump in. It had been months. Had it all been just some dying hallucination? Was none of it real? Had she dreamed, only to awaken again to this nightmare? Then she felt something in her hand. She brought it up. It was a pouch overflowing with gold. Did you get that in there? One of the young men asked. Then the other peered into the well. I guess I can see why she jumped in then. Just then, the young woman felt it. A spark of cold on her forehead. A snowflake touching down, living for an instant before becoming a drop that mixed in with the remaining well water. She looked up, and it was snowing. Somewhere, Frau Halle was shaking her feather bed until the feathers flew around the room. The young woman embraced the men, tossing them a few gold coins and thanking them for pulling her out. Then she ran home. The well wasn't far, and soon she was at her house. She walked right past her stepmother, still sitting at the table. The woman rose, shrieking after her daughter that she better have that spindle that fell in the well. She followed the girl to her room, where she found her packing and changing. What did she think she was doing? I'm leaving, the young woman said. The stepmother laughed. Leaving? And where was she going to go? What was she going to do? The young woman shrugged. She didn't know. Young men in the stories went to find their fortune, but she already did that. She produced the bag of gold as she finished packing. She would figure it out, but she was done with the stepmother. Oh, and sorry about the spindle. This should cover it. She flicked a few gold coins on the floor, and the stepmother scrambled to them. Where did she get this? The young woman stood at the door, smiling. Frau Halle, the old woman at the bottom of the well. She wrapped her cloak around her, hefted her pack on her back, and walked out into the snow, not ever looking back. Did she really say the old woman at the bottom of the well? The stepmother's biological daughter asked, through tears, holding her bloody hand. She was standing on the lip of the well, looking down into the darkened water as her mother tightened the rope around her waist. A few drops of blood found the water below, causing it to ripple. The obviously great mother had expedited the process by shoving her daughter's hand in a thorn bush. Yeah, you'll be fine. If she can handle it, you definitely can, the mother said, and pushed the girl in. She screamed, splashed, and there was silence for a few seconds before there was more screaming. This wasn't the brief terror of being dropped into the well, or reaction to the frigid water. This was a full-throated, blood-curdling scream. Something was wrong. The mother pulled her daughter up, but the girl was limp on the end of the line, still screaming. The mother pulled her up over the lip of the well, took one look at her daughter, and screamed herself. You see, the daughter, the stepsister, had made it to Frau Halle's realm, at the bottom of the well. She dropped on through and found herself in the mystical land. She, too, heard the yelling of the bread in the oven, of the baker that, I guess, couldn't ever be bothered with sticking around when they made bread. She looked at the bread, yelling for her to please take it out, and she grimaced. That would get her hands all dirty. No, ew. The bread's yells became screams, but the daughter couldn't care less. She was looking for the old woman who lived at the bottom of the well. She passed the apple tree, whose shaking was not as dire as being a quickly burning loaf of bread in the oven, but he was annoyed that she wouldn't shake him. Finally, the sister came to Frau Halle's cottage. She said their stepsister had come, and she wanted the gold as well. Frau Halle looked at the girl. Oh, she was the sister. She took a deep breath. Sure, she could have the same shot as the other daughter. But she had to do exactly what Frau Halle asked of her, the most important of which being shaking out the feather bed so that it snowed. Okay. The sister looked back to her. Oh, yeah, she got it. But also, could Frau Halle maybe repeat all that starting at the beginning? She wasn't paying attention. Frau Halle took a deep breath. Took a total of maybe a week. The sister didn't know. It was hard to keep track of time. It was too long for her, and she was glad her duties had been completed successfully. That must have been why Frau Halle wanted her to leave so badly. She was too awesome. She asked for her gold, but Frau Halle only gestured to the gate. She should go through there. She would get what she deserved. The girl walked through the gate, and the rain started, and, like the rain for the stepdaughter, this rain stuck to the sister. Unlike the other rain, though, this one wasn't gold. It was black. The boiling hot rain was still steaming when her mother pulled her from the well and saw that the girl was burned and covered in quickly hardening pitch, fusing with her skin. And the story says that it didn't come off as long as she lived.